we're going to figure out what kind of train wreck this is going to be. It's time for Warhammered.
So fucking weird.
It's fucking Warhammer time. That's Big Jim. That's Beer Jim. And I'm Jazz. And we're here for the games, drinks, and hijinks. And around here, we like to tell you all about gaming lore really fucking poorly. Yep. That's just...
and if you're here to learn anything, you're just not gonna.
And I'm going to take Big Jim's line and be like, wave top level. Wave top.
And that's...
Sprinkle a little facts.
That's still being generous.
that is super generous.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We are as accurate to lore as a 3-year-old drawing a car. And
Yeah.
It's like...
Is it a fox? Is it a cow? No, Mom, it's your Honda.
Yeah, it's your Honda. Oh, shit.
You get a yellow sun in the corner somewhere, you know something's happening.
Yeah,
so.
it's good. We must be outside. No, it's the basement. Okay. We're going to go with that.
Yeah.
But we have some typical stuff we like to do around here. But before we do that, some of our episodes are they're out in the world. They're frolicking. They're dancing. They're out there. They've been ingested into people's ear holes.
They've been thought of.
Just let that marinate for a minute. That's
Try
good.
not to fucking go.
It's like that.
We're just gonna leave it.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. They put that little thing in their ear.
Yeah, so you can hear it. Yeah, no, 100%.
That's what we did to you.
Yeah, that's what we did. We earwigged you, or that was Babblefish, is what that was called.
That was Babblefish.
That was the Babblefish. It'll let you process any language. But we've got some episodes out there, and people have been commenting.
Which is bizarre to me still.
Which is wild. That means that we don't suck enough to keep people from saying something.
Yeah.
And they're saying stuff. The last episode, the legendary draft, of which you guys will just figure out that you're inferior.
No,
no, buddy.
No, my friend.
A guy named Chad.
Hey, Chad.
Near Chad, there's no drywall safe. Actually says, love these episodes. I wish more lore podcasts were like this. Just a bunch of friends chilling and bullshitting. And I was like, fucking, you're on track.
That's
that's 100%.
That's kind of how it is.
That's exactly.
Strap yourself in, Chad. Be that long-term listener.
Literally, have these guys ever played the game? I'm not quite fucking sure. That's what you should take away from this show.
Yeah. Some of us have.
Yeah.
Some of us hasn't.
Yeah.
Your guess. Let's see what else were the other ones here. What flavor of suck would you like?
Okay.
One of my I liked that episode because it was
a good one.
essentially how bad do you want life? Dude came on and just said salamanders. So that's where I'm going. I was like,
and then I sent a couple some feels the salamander thing that's today under the group chat.
It was very
yes,
touching.
you did. It was
touching.
It was very, very touching.
Right. I'm not well, even though I did draft them. I literally drafted them for like their prime arc.
Yeah.
Not for Vulcan's how nice they are. We'll have to work on the how
touchy-feely they are.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do a trade though.
Yeah.
You're gonna. Are y'all touching?
Well, we're
feelings?
gonna take a
What's
few
going
Night
on
Lords.
here?
We're gonna be like, look, you need to be a little more like that, a little less like this.
Yeah, come on.
So, but there's been several comments on a couple of our episodes about people that are like, love the show, have no fucking idea what you're talking about. Where do I start with the lore? What book do I start on? You guys have made 40K lore really interesting. Where do I start reading? Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to let personal preference. If I was going to tell you like where to go fucking start reading the Horus Heresy.
It's probably,
I disagree.
Okay, go ahead. This is why it's a podcast. So you can be wrong in public.
Getting dropped into the world, I say Eisenhorn or Gaunt's Ghost.
If you want
those are the
military, like a military fiction kind of thing, where you get a smattering, so you're wading in, not kind of really getting super involved, probably Gaunt's Ghost. If you want most of everything that you're going to get hit with, there's even some Space Marine-ish stuff.
Eisenhorn would fill that.
Then probably Eisenhorn.
Yeah, and Eisenhorn, that series does a really good job of informing you about kind of the state of the empire. It kind of what the politics is, and that's 40K. Like,
I'm talking
strictly 40K.
Because I'm more 40K fan than you guys are. You're a 30K fan.
I am a 30K fan.
Where I'm more of a 40K. I have like different like.
Well, the funny thing is, I really like 40K when it doesn't have to do with the Space Marines.
Really?
I like 40K, not Space Marines.
Yeah.
So like, I like 40K when it is like when it's the Inquisition doing their thing, or like the whole narrative behind Necromunda and just like what it's like just to suck in the Imperium. Like, I like all that stuff, but it's like, hey, the whole universe sucks and there's these superhumans. And it's like, oh, okay, great. Well, they're also like 1 in a billion. So who fucking cares? Like, I don't,
and
that is not the bulk of the universe.
Treat them different ways. Some treat them like run of the mill cannon fodder. And I think Dan Abnett does a good job of saying like, one of these guys can take on like 200 dudes. Like that's, it makes them.
Yeah. I'm like, if you're getting started,
it does depend,
but Dan Abnett or Aaron Dembski-Bowden.
Look, and regardless of the series, if Abnett wrote it, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Abnett also has creative control of the entire Horus Heresy arc.
Yeah.
Like he runs the whole story. The reason that I tell people to go to Horus Heresy and to start reading that is because everything pivots on that story.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like
it's a lot of books.
It's a lot of books.
Now it's a lot.
There's a lot of lore. And it's just a lot. Like I haven't read all of
well, there's 65 of them.
I mean, I'm kind of pick and chosen. And
I've read them all.
And you kind of,
I couldn't tell you fucking, sometimes I'll read them and like, I'll be like, did I read that book and read it again? And be like, what the fuck? Like 200 pages in, like,
I know this.
Yeah. A lot of it bleeds together and stuff like that. Now, luckily, if you were listening to this and you're trying to figure out where the lore is and there's something that you find interesting, they have released a bunch of omnibuses at this point where instead of going to find these like 2, 3, 4 like little micro novels that you could literally crush in like a night if you just, they've released these omnibus books that are like everything. Like they did it for like Fabius Bile. If you like, if what we were talking about with Mars and the Mechanicum and they build everything and you really like that in 40K or Fabius Bile, if you want to learn about what he like, that sick and twisted doctor that he is, they did one for the Mechanicum for,
they did one for Night Lords.
They did one for Night Lords. They've done these omnibus books. You can read those. There's a bunch of novels that's like a collection of short stories that are, it's far easier to ingest and kinds of a good primer.
And it's a lot easier to find them because sometimes they'll release them at different points. They'll have the Advent week and they do a lot of different releases on those. Sometimes they're in a magazine, but then they'll put like after a year or so, they'll say, okay, we've got a bunch of these short stories. We'll put them in and then release them in a novel form. And it makes it a lot easier. Because sometimes you can't find them. Sometimes they're audio stories and they weren't written.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, that sounds like a great whatever. And then
the audio,
they'll do it.
The best way I consume it by Audible.
Yeah.
And all of the novels are on Audible.
Best way. I swear to God, it is so nice.
And if you luck out, they'll do bundles.
Yeah.
For like this way discounted. And there'll be like 7 or 8 books in there.
Look at
Black
Library. So blacklibrary.com. Find the books, look at the news releases, and that's probably the easiest, best way.
If you want really, really like snippet, can go around and just kind of chase the tail on what you get interested in. There's a website called the Lexicanum.
It's great.
That's what I started
it's
with.
Wikipedia.
That's what I started with.
It's Wikipedia for Lorehammer.
And you just go into
and it's all the same stuff. Yeah. And it's just you just keep clicking away and you can go on it. And you can put in the big topic stuff. Like you can put in the Horus Heresy and there will be a page that is the big like overview of what the Horus Heresy was, and you can click through the stuff that's more interesting.
Yeah, and then you'd be like, what that legion is? Who's that? Oh, they have successors now in the Horus.
This guy and that guy was important. His first captain. He's got his own page.
So when you get to Lexicanum, like look up Horus Heresy, look up the Emperor of Mankind, read that.
Abaddon the Despoiler is a big deal.
Abaddon's a big deal. The High Lords of Terra.
Yeah,
you can read about those. They're kind of the ones that are running the show now that the Emperor's taking a nap.
Or just also just look up like Adeptus Astartes.
Yeah, Adeptus Astartes, and then that'll break it all to the chapters and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot out there. If you really, really want a novel, my recommendation is the first novel in the Horus Heresy is called Horus Rising. Start there. If that book doesn't hook you, you're not going to read the rest of the series. Like that book is it's kickoff. It's an Abnett novel. Like that's the
guy.
That's the guy. It sets the scene for everything that happens for about a 12,000 year window.
Yeah.
In the lineup, that's why I recommend the Horus Heresy, because everything that you learn in that is what the next 10,000 years pivot on. So,
and then if you're going into more the 40K realm and like the current kind of line that it's all, I would say Eisenhorn, Xenos.
So Eisenhorn, from what I understand, Eisenhorn takes place. See, that's the thing. Some people said it's like 300 or 400 years before like now, kind of thing. But
it'll be March in the beginning of the book. We just have to go check it. Like if it says like M38, then it's about 300 years before. Or now that
some of the stuff that's just happened though. The last book, the last like Prior or whatever, where they
Prior's
in
M41.
Valador, it is back.
What is the new one with Gilliman? All that stuff. Chariots of Fire. It's the
Shadow Behind the Throne stuff.
Yeah.
No, not Shadow Behind the Throne. The one with Gilliman, like actually doing his
being
campaign.
a bitch.
Yeah, the thing. What's the series called?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but anyway, that's pretty good too. If you really want to get into it.
Yeah, I don't.
So there's, but
Gilliman is quite possibly my least favorite Primarch.
He's pretty cool.
I don't have a real problem with him.
I do. I have all the problems.
I had a problem. Anyway, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, he's a 10,000-year-old hypocrite. Fucking yeah.
Well, and also Gaunt's Ghost is just a beautifully written.
Yeah, if you're really into, if
you want military science fiction,
fiction, Gaunt's Ghosts. There's a specific book out of the Horus Heresy just called Legion. Go read that one. It is arguably about the Alpha Legion, but they're only in like 10% of the book.
Yeah.
Like the rest of it is actually all like IG and shit like that. That one's really good. And his Horus Heresy is that era. Possibly one of the best written IG books.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird. But we were getting a bunch of questions about where the fuck do we start? Yeah. So
it's huge and it's unyielding.
It's absolutely massive. It's hard to tell you where to start. But that is at least a couple of jumping off points that you can go find and run
all
from
the
there.
Stuff that's out right now. So you're not waiting. By the time
you're not
gonna, to the end,
you are not going to run out of content. Like it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
read the back of the book. Be like, does this interest me? Do I want to know about these?
So you're not going to run out of content. There's enough jumping off points for you that even if you ended up in some huge rabbit hole, you're never going to run out of content.
You're wondering where to go next after you've digested 10 or so books. Come back and
ask us another question. But Horus Heresy is 65 novels. The 66th book comes out.
Daddy Warhammer
this
will
spring.
Be here for you.
We're here.
Come back.
We're here.
We're here for you.
That being said, it is time for Beer Jim's Beer Corner.
Yay!
Look at that. He comes with his own sound effects.
There it is.
On Beer Jim's Big Corner. But no, Beer Jim's Beer Corner.
There we are.
There, see? There we go. He likes to, when we like it too, explain what the fuck this beer is. Because everybody's like, I love craft beer. And then you ask them for things. And they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So we've devised this little corner where we're going to talk about a specific beer that he's going to bring in and sample for us. And explain why it is what tit is. I said titties.
Yeah.
So, Jim.
Yes.
What are we discussing today?
We are going to be discussing a Bavarian Hefeweizen. That is what we're going to do. And we make
Bavarian. Is this from Bavaria?
It is from San Antonio, but it's Bavarian in spirit.
A couple of folks came from Bavaria.
No, it's from San Antonio, you dick. So, Bavarian Hefeweizen. Hefeweizen is a German-style ale. We talked about last time about ales lagers, or a couple times ago.
Which is apparently a yeast call.
Which is a type of yeast. So, Hefeweizens are a style of ale that came from Germany way back when, and you get a lot of really interesting flavors. You get a lot of banana, clove, a little bit of citrus on there, and there's no banana or bubblegum or clove added into it. It's just the phenols and esters from the yeast that produce it. This beer has 4 ingredients. It has water, it has yeast, it has malt, which is, in this, it's 50% Pilsner malt and 50% wheat malt. That's what makes a Hefeweizen. A Hefeweizen has to have half of the grain bill need to be wheat. And then, the yeast, which is extremely important in this beer.
Now, is that that falls back to that
Reinheitsgebot,
the Bavarian standard or whatever it is, where it's
German purity laws.
There you go. It can only have 4 ingredients.
It can only have 4 ingredients, and they had to change it because they didn't know yeast was a thing when they first wrote it. So they had to change it. Originally, it was 3 ingredients, and then they're like, "Oh, yeast is a thing," and they're like, "Oh, fuck me! All right, cool.
Well,
4.
It's pure if it has 4.
4 if it has it." So
it's really
try
good.
this. Yeah.
It's
a fantastic beer. If you smell it, you're going to get a little bit of banana, a little bit of clove, banana, bubblegum comes through a lot, I feel. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same thing with it's a very similar to, macro commercial examples would be like Blue Moon, as people always compare it to a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit different. That's a Belgian wit, but they're in the same vein. They're in the same family of beers. So, yeah.
I've always liked Heffies. And I think Hefeweizen,
Heffies. Say
whatever.
Hefs.
Hefs. Okay. See, that's why we have the beer corner.
It is one of my biggest pet peeves when people go like, it's a Heffy, and it's like,
so, but I
So
like it
cute.
because I feel
It's
like
so
it's a
cute.
good year-round beer.
it's a great year-round beer. Yeah. And it would be, stored. It was the beer that you made when you were doing more in like the springtime, because in Germany, beers were made for the region, or not the region, but the time that it was made to be drank. So, you have Maybachs, which are made for May. Oktoberfest, made for, hey, guess what? October.
Which is actually celebrated in September.
Which is end of September. Yeah.
Yeah.
September and a little bit of October.
Yeah. It's actually not like this month-long party.
Unless
It's actually
you live in New
like,
Braunfels, and it's in November.
Mhm.
Yeah.
well, there's actual Germany.
Yeah.
And then there's
The country.
uppity people in the US that like to decide that they can just celebrate other people's shit
Well,
and fuck it up every time.
I don't know.
That's true.
People seem to enjoy themselves at that.
They,
I'm not saying they don't have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you can't be like, well, I live in a German name town. We absolutely celebrate it the German way. And it's like, really? It's also a hotel. They're called Edelweiss. Like, I don't know if like.
But it's a great beer, and we love it. It's one of our best sellers.
Just because you spelled house AU, it doesn't mean
I
it's
know.
necessarily German.
I know.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. What do you think, Jazz?
We've carried this beer here for a long time.
Yeah.
And
it's been one of our core brands since day one.
yeah. So what I like about this, to be honest with you, and at least your Hefeweizen, is it. I don't feel like this beer makes me work for it.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of like, yeah, it's fucking good. And
Yeah,
you
you
don't
just-
really need to like, oh, I think I'm picking up notes, and it's like I can just go like, it's a good fucking beer. Like
Yeah.
I don't and it's
The two things that I love about this beer is when I get comments back, we have a group of like 10 Germans. Like they just speak German. Come to the brewery every Tuesday because we have a schnitzel truck come every Tuesday, and they just go there, they eat their schnitzel, and they drink like 10 or 20 pints of
Do they pound the tables and make speeches?
No, they don't do that.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
Probably
they
a good thing.
they aren't really yelling that loud, with little
Gesticulating in
pencil
odd ways.
mustaches.
Yeah.
throwing an awful lot of high fives around.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Nothing like that. They are wonderful, beautiful people. We love them. They're great. And then we also get a bunch of ex-military people who come in, and they'll be like, "Hey, I'll try the Hefeweizen," and then they'll drink it, and they'll be like, "I haven't had a Hef. I couldn't find a Hef like that since I've been stationed in Germany.
Sure.
This is amazing.
So-
Thank you." Like you
No,
get
that's good.
really excited.
You and I
And
had
those
this-
two things are like the big things. I'm like, I don't care what judges or competitions say. If those two groups of people are in, I'm happy as a clan.
You and I had this conversation though about a lot of your approach as a brewer when you go into beer, and a lot of that approach of like, good is good. Complicating it for the sake of just complicating it
It's stupid.
and it's like if these styles are out there and they've been around this long,
Yeah.
it's not because that style is bad. So all you have to do is figure out how to execute it just a little bit better. Not
Exactly.
not execute it differently,
But also execute
just-
it. Yeah,
but just execute
true
it
to
with
style.
quality first.
Yeah, true
and
to
then-
style. I mean, like we go so far as our entire brewery in the brew house has 100% reverse osmosis water. We don't let San Antonio water touch our beer at any point. But that means that we can then add in all of the minerals and salts from a specific region. So this beer actually has the exact same water profile as Munich, Germany
Okay.
when we brew it.
Wow.
So that's something that's really, really cool that we're able to do.
I know this beer is dangerous when you poured this for me, and that was a whole beer,
Pretty much.
and this bit's gone on for like 6 minutes,
Yeah.
and
It's gone.
I have
So,
like no
yeah.
beer left.
It's very smooth.
It's a
and,
very smooth beer. It's
It's very
great.
easy to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find it at a lot of places. If you want to know where to find Hot Wells Hefeweizen, go on our website. We have a brand finder on there, so you can just click in and say,
Am I
like,
on your website?
Are you?
I don't.
Yeah, you are. No, you're 100% on there.
Am I?
Yes, you are. No. So if you,
I've never
if-
looked.
Yeah, if you go on there and you put like the area code or the zip code, and just say search, and then
We pull up as a vendor.
You'll pop up as a
Hey,
vendor.
look at that.
That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
That's
Yeah.
very cool.
So yeah, you can definitely find BattlePub on that.
But yeah, we've from day one, the Hot Wells Hefeweizen
Great beer.
has been on our bar here. We'll never get rid of it. We'll
Mhm.
always carry it.
Yep.
But it's a great beer, and we've turned a lot of people onto it when they're like, "Well, I don't really know," and I'm like, "Do you want something with flavor that's just not gonna like rock your world,
Or something
Like,
weird, or something that you're not used to with beer.
right? You want to try something new, but it's not like, well, this one has chamoy in it, and it's like, well, I don't want
Well,
that. It's like,
yeah.
And it's like, how about something that's got a little bit more complexity than you're used to? It's not super dark.
It's not super hoppy.
It's not super hoppy.
Definitely not hoppy.
It's got like 12 IBUs. It's tiny.
We've turned a bunch of people onto that. Now, me personally with this beer, I actually pick up a little bit of a donut flavor.
Yeah, a little bread. A little bit of that,
So I've gotten a bunch of people to try it, and I'm like, do you like donuts? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, do you like bubble gum? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, you like nanners? And they go, yeah. And I'm like,
I got a beer.
Boy, do I have a beer for you.
Let me tell you about a beer.
And I think that's the big approach. Is I think the big problem I have with like craft beer fans, I guess fanboys might be the better phrase, is that everybody always wants to discuss it in that like sommelier fashion. Like, well, the nose on this reminds me of a
Oh, you know what? Fuck your feelings.
through a conifer forest of da 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 da.
Oh, does it really?
I'm like, does it now? And I'm over here like, hey, do you like donuts and nanners?
You want a nanner bear? I got you a nanner bear.
I'm like, if you would ever eat a banana donut, put this in your suck hole. You'll fucking like it.
You'll be fine, guy.
I mean, like, there's both sides to the thing. Like, there's a place for that higher,
and I admire it.
And then there's also a place for just like, hey, I'm just gonna enjoy a fucking beer.
I can give you an accurate description without making it sound like I'm calling you a fucking idiot while I'm at it. Like, I can just go like,
right.
You know, I get it. You've had whatever beer you've been drinking to this point. Now there are more complex beers out there, but we don't need to be uppity about it. Like, we can discuss the fact that yes, this is a craft item.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't need to talk down to you because you don't understand the elevation of my beer. And it's like,
no, I 100% agree.
Why?
I 100%
because
agree.
I want you to go like, fuck, that's delicious. And then I want to sit in my bar and I want to talk about Warhammer or D&D or Bolt Action or whatever board game or whatever while we have a good beer, and we have that. And that's what good beer should do.
Yeah.
Good beer should be kind of that WD-40 of conversation. Like, it should take all the squeaks out, and this should be what's lubricating our interaction.
Absolutely.
And that's why we are a craft beer bar.
That's
We're not, you can't go in there and shoot jack at my bar. Like, you have to come in, you have to drink good beer, we have to talk good games, and that's
what we do.
That's what we're modeled on. And that's what good beer should do.
That is the perfect way to describe what we are trying to do at Second Pitch. Is like, we want to make elevated beer that the common person can just
and your bar's just like that.
I can understand that it's just good beer.
And
I'm just enjoying it.
I have been in your bar, and you're drinking some of the best beer you've ever had outside, sitting at a wood picnic table, eating from a food truck, like just doing everyday shit with better than everyday beer.
Well,
and that's kind of like, it's brilliant.
Well, that's the nice thing about beer is I've always said that beer is the beverage, the alcoholic beverage that the masses can produce, can enjoy. So the best wine in the world is going to cost you how much? You know,
more money than I'll ever spend.
Yeah, the best whiskey in the world is going to be more money than we could ever spend, or something like that. The best beer in the world, like, you go like, I want the top of the line, $500. Like, that's like mother god awful, like, whatever you do, $500. Like, which is somebody who drops out on a bottle of wine without even blinking twice.
Sure.
And that's talking top of the line. So you can enjoy the best of the craft without breaking your budget and without being a pompous, pompous prick about it. And that's what I love about beer.
Wow, that is impressive. Our producer just sent me a picture of your beer finder from your website, and it brings up my bar. And if you mouse over it, it actually lists every Second Pitch beer that we're currently carrying on the bar.
Yeah, that is great. Yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah, I paid money for that program.
I don't like how short that list is, though. We're gonna have to talk about that.
We're gonna talk about. I would love to give you more list. I want to give you more list. You got it. But yeah, no, that's always a fun thing to do. And I've always enjoyed beer for that reason, But wish I could get Big Jim back on the beer train. But age does a thing to you,
Yeah, it's just yeah. I honestly, I mean, it's just. Just like everybody else, like Bud Light and Budweiser.
Yeah. And you start with what you do, and you
I just can't do it anymore. And then I never got into anything else beyond, a few things here and there, but Scotch and bourbon, man.
Yeah, Scotch and bourbon.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Scotch. I love Scotch.
But I'm a Highland Scotch guy, not a Lowland Scotch guy, so it just really depends on.
So the other day I was going through my liquor cabinet because it was like 10 o'clock at night and I wanted to watch a movie and everyone was asleep. And I found like in the back of my liquor cabinet, I've completely forgot there was Johnny Walker Blue just sitting back there, and I was like, "Yep, I'm gonna drink that." I gave him
a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue only because it's blended.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You have never given me Johnny Blue.
The small bottle. I gave you a small box of Johnny. Absolutely, 1,000%.
No, that was not me.
That was you.
That must have been your other friend. You have never given me Johnny Blue. There's only been one person that I know that has ever given me Johnny Blue, and it wasn't you.
Well, I don't
because it got mailed to me.
Yeah,
really. That was you. Do you want me to bring Johnny Blue for the?
You have actually given me far better than Johnny Blue.
I don't like the blue. Johnny Walker is. I know it's a blended whiskey, so sometimes it's better than some of the other ones. I think some of them are a little too smoky.
It's like you have given me. Don't get me wrong. I am not discounting what you have given me because but that's why I'm saying you've given me far. You just left a bottle of Pinhook at my house.
I know. Like at least you can buy
Johnny
Pinhook.
Walker Blue is like when people really go crazy about Gentleman's Jack. It feels like they're kind of like in the same vein where it's just like.
I have another friend that he's given me. It's actually been 2 of the mini bottles of Johnny Blue.
Yeah, they're $90.
The little ones.
Yeah.
So I used to have this. Should we call is it a corporate job? What did I hate to call that a corporate job, but it was. I mean, it's a company that I had the job. So when I got fired from it,
good for you. You got to get fired from one fucking job.
It's not the first time I've been fired. It was just, the whole situation, but it was interesting. And so, I have another podcast, and I talked about it. I didn't bring up the company. I didn't whatever. I just said I got let go. And one of my listeners over there and a friend of mine heard I got let go. So he sent me he called it an emotional support bottle, and he sent me a little like half bottle of Johnny.
Yeah.
Nice.
Of Johnny Blue. And then when I got my next gig, he sent me the other half bottle as a congratulations on you got a new gig.
Nice.
So he
sweet.
gifted me a full bottle of Johnny,
That's
one for leaving, one for going. And but that's why I know it wasn't me. I don't know who you gave Johnny Blue to, because you've given me way better than Johnny Blue. And I think it's because you know me. Yeah. Every bottle you have ever gifted me has always been a very fine bourbon, because you know I'm not a Scotch drinker.
Yeah.
So you have always given me very good bourbon. That's why I know you didn't give it to me.
I don't remember. I think it was him, but anyway, I'll have to figure it out. It was a little mini bottle.
Between me and you, Jim, you fucking did it. I forgot.
He didn't. There's no Johnny in my house. Like I know that.
Well, it was a little bottle, so you would have killed it. Anyway.
Anyways, it doesn't matter because we're here for the beer.
For the beer.
And whatever other booze happen to be sitting around. Yeah. But speaking of talking about beer and things that are had in a tavern, there is D&D news.
There is
a lot of D&D news.
Big
to
Jim
be
went sleuthing.
So
he sleuthed the shit out of this.
So this news came down. So it's a couple of days old or whatever. But we do talk more than just Warhammer. And we do talk about a bunch of different games and stuff.
Deep down, deep down in the cockles of our hearts.
Yeah.
Everybody around here is a dyed-in-the-wool nerd. Yeah. And we're nerdy about a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
Like you're a game nerd and a beer nerd.
Huge beer nerd. Yeah.
I love beer. I'm friends with you, so I hesitate to call myself a beer nerd.
You're a beer nerd. You're in the group. I dubbed thee.
But I'm a bourbon nerd and a game nerd. I know your gaming background. I've been in your office and seen what books are up on the shelf and stuff like that. So we are dyed-in-the-wool nerds. And when that happens, what you end up with is a dirty sleuth that wants to tell you all about
the trash.
Instead of paraphrasing, which is what we do on this show really well, I'm going to read the Variety article just so everybody gets context of where they're coming from.
Hit it.
Because
God, I'm so excited.
We have problems with the fucking movie. Anyway, so this is from Variety about a day ago. We've had a ton of big budget high fantasy on TV recently. Game of Thrones kicked the doors open and followed up with the House of Dragons and its many beasts. But the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, the Wheel of Time series, and so forth and so on were both excellent TV outings. But get your swords ready and learn your spells properly, because now the iconic role-playing game is headed for a TV show. Paramount Pictures has ordered 8 episodes of the live-action Dungeons & Dragons TV series for Paramount+. So these are the same guys that bring you 1886, 1923,
Yellowstone,
all
that kind of stuff. Fuck, did you watch the? So I
I have
haven't.
not. But
I haven't watched the second season of
one?
Picard, but I
Picard.
watched the first one.
No.
Fuck me, that series was good.
Was it?
Oh god, the first season of Picard was awesome. I haven't watched the second one. Can't vouch whether or not it held, but god damn, that first one was good.
So he's
Excellent drop in jazz. Big Jim, what were you saying?
So anyway, so rolling on with this.
I told you we were nerds.
So we first heard this news in 2021. At that time, Derek Kolstad, and this is why I'm reading the article, the creator behind the John Wick series, was developing a Dungeons & Dragons series for Paramount and Hasbro. But now Variety reports that Rawson Marshall Thurber will bring the show to life. Thurber has written the pilot for the Dungeons & Dragons TV series and will also direct the show. According to Variety, the series is co-produced by E1 and Paramount Pictures. Why this is important, I'll tell you in a minute. While we didn't know much about the plot yet or the aspects of Dungeons & Dragons world, the series will pull from. It's important to note that this is a separate project from the Chris Pine starring D&D movie Dungeons & Dragons
God.
Honor Among Thieves. So anyway, a little bit about Thurber because you like to know.
I was about to say what's
So,
the pedigree on this
the first guy, John Wick, fucking great. Could be a dark series with a slight bit of humor, but it could have been dark. This guy, Thurber is known for writing and directing and co-directing films like Central Intelligence, Skyscraper, and Red Notice.
Fuck.
All of which starred Dwayne Johnson. He's also known for such films as Dodgeball and Where the Millers. He's currently working on 2 sequels to Red Notice for Netflix and sold a pitch for Voltron, a Voltron feature film for Amazon. So
we're fucked.
So I don't know where that leaves us. However, E1 is also co-producing Joe Manganiello's Dungeons and Dragons documentary.
That is a different topic, and we'll get to that next.
But that's why there is some hope that these guys won't fuck this whole thing.
Whenever I see a director with that pedigree do something different, I always think of Adam McKay. Because Adam McKay was just like the goofy fucking director who did Step Brothers and all that kind of stuff. And then now his second half of his career has made some really fucking good movies.
So, yeah, maybe this guy wants to stretch his legs, right? When I hear that it was the John Wick piece, do you know how easily John Wick could have gotten super campy and super awful? Like,
well, that was the first guy that was involved. Then they moved on to
but what I'm saying is if that guy was still involved, but do you know how it would have taken a sea hair width of deviation for those movies to be awful?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, just terrible. And instead, there's been 3 of them and they're making 2 more. And all of us that like those movies are like,
and a TV show.
Please so.
I'm like,
Please.
Confirm that there's 10 more and I'm in. Like, I don't like if you're just going to keep giving me this, it's awesome.
All we have
and
to
they're
do
supposed
is
to make
we
the
have to-
Continental TV show.
Yeah,
and
we
the whole
have to
nine
put
yards, right?
Keanu Reeves into like a
don't care.
cryogenic freezer
That's fine.
between each movie, so he doesn't.
Keanu for Pope. Like, I'm here for all of it. I don't care.
Never
Be any
die.
worse
Yeah.
than the current guy.
So he's amazing.
Yeah.
So you had me when it was that, because I'm like, oh my god. Because in my mind, I go, we're gonna get the Dritz series. You're gonna give me 8 episodes of Dritz, and if that's gonna be the case,
yeah.
That's the
Why
right
R.A. Salvatore is
Dritz.
DRIZZT.
He's a
Okay.
dark elf.
He's a Dro, dark elf, whatever you want to call
He's
it.
a drow elf.
He's a linchpin character within the D&D universe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually,
Forgotten Realms.
fuck, I forgot it. I have a present for you.
So anyway,
But
I
anyways,
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I'm gonna ask those questions for
so,
people who don't
okay,
know.
so
'Cause I don't
Dritz
know
is this
anything
drug.
about D&D.
Yeah.
typically written by, as you said it, this guy named R.A. Salvatore. Fantastic author, but he writes on the darker side. So it's far
It's not
more
Warhammer Fantasy Dark, but it's
not grimdark,
much
it's dark
darker
dark.
than that universe ever saw.
So
when those first books came
It's
out.
not Warhammer. It's not Warhammer dark in the idea that it's not that everything is awful. This is dark in that R.A. Salvatore does an outstanding job of taking you on the emotional journey of the character and not necessarily on the whole, like, look at the power he wields.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it's the fallout
So
of,
it sounds like he's just a good author. Cool.
he's a very,
Yeah,
very good
yeah.
author, but it's made an absolutely phenomenal character
Okay.
that has now impacted the gameplay and all this kind of stuff. And so when you have somebody that can come in that can handle a story like Wick that is so action heavy, but you understand the impetus behind that character. You know why he's fucking mad. And I get it. Everybody wants to go like, you killed this fucking dog. And it's like, it's not about the dog.
Yeah.
That dog was the representation of a life that he had that was taken from him from outside of his control. That dog was the symbol of that little bit of healing that he was starting to do.
Symbology.
And then that
And the last thing he had was his wife.
Symbolism.
Yeah.
And then they take the dog too, and he was like, fuck this, and just decides to burn the world around him.
Yeah, no.
It's an emotional journey that we go on in the John Wick stories. The action is phenomenal, but whether you want to admit it or not, you're in it because the emotional story that's being told. Salvatore does a great job. That director coming in has a very Salvatore look on how he handles his characters. You need to know why they are doing anything. Not just that they're good at it, but why they're doing it. Okay. And you know why in the John Wick stories, why he's doing all of that stuff. That had me excited. And then, as you said, fucking Central Intelligence. And then named 3 more movies that's got Dwayne Rock fucking Johnson.
Anything that's got Dwayne Johnson is just like fucking silly and stupid. I'm sorry.
It's just going to go dumb.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is. I could get proven wrong. And maybe Dwayne The Rock Johnson has just absolute acting chops that I don't fucking
he's not
understand.
saying he's going to be in it, but what you're going to get, though.
But you're going to get that same concept.
You're going to get more fucking the movie, which is.
But that's going to be the whole, it's going to be this goofy, fucking campy
road thing.
The same shit that they always fall into D&D
and
with.
I don't understand why they feel the need to make these things so friggin' stupid. And the thing is, you're playing into the nerd culture, but you're playing into a silly subset of the nerd culture.
But they're scared.
We never were.
No, it's because these older producers and executives who greenlight these things think that D&D and this nerd culture that is happening that they don't understand is for kids. It's children.
No,
and we need
I want to see fucking villages getting burned and people getting fucking smoked and crucified. That shit's all in Dungeons and Dragons, and you can have the other stuff. You can have it all because it's this whole open world of.
What confuses the shit out of me is we are all old enough to remember the Satanic Panic. The whole that D&D and all of the RPGs and all of this stuff was this cult influence. That's what was going to make it all happen. So in
From
everybody
a game that was created by a Jehovah's Witness, but anyway,
everybody now that is old enough to be greenlighting this level of money to produce this also remembers all of that. And I'm like, but how do you default to D&D's for children?
Yeah.
And it's like,
it was created by other guys. You had to, when he created this, Jai Jackson, it was fairly complicated and it was war game stuff. Older men who had a grasp of history had to know it.
Gygax came from wargaming.
Yeah.
He literally
purposely tried to keep like the devil stuff out of it because he was a Jehovah's Witness. He wasn't a practicing one, but he kept a lot of that stuff out. So when that all happened, he's like, his response to all that was maybe you should have better control of your kids. It's not my game.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, and he cut his teeth writing stuff for, so TSR, which is originally, the TSR original name is Tactical Studies Research. They wrote war games. And I don't mean war games on like knights on horseback and shit. They wrote like World War II era.
Yeah.
Very strategic.
Very dry.
Yeah. Math. But you had some models that went with it.
Yeah.
Like it was, that's what he wrote.
Wasn't a lot of fun and what we would look to as fun.
It didn't exist in those games.
Like mechanical engineers working for Boeing. That's what they play.
That's what they played.
Okay,
so Gygax cut his teeth coming in and writing. So they had all the rules nailed down for the armor to run the tanks and all that kind of stuff. Because that's what it was all. Yeah. So it was games called like Tractics and Tractics 2 and all that kind of stuff, which were all armor games. These were a bunch of tanks, air support, all that kind of stuff. It was all the vehicles. They lacked the personnel. They brought Gygax in to write the personnel part. While he was at that, he was like, hey, I've got this little fucking side project where you get to be a wizard and go do this thing. And TSR was like, yeah, whatever, buddy. As your bonus, we'll put it in the back of our fucking rule book that you can also order this fucking game.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like, half of it was to fund a naval game that one of his partners was trying to write.
Yeah,
so he had all
they
this
wrote
stuff.
D&D and they did all this kind of stuff and it hooked.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why the original set, what everybody talks about, I had a red box. Really? What size was it? Because if it was bigger than about that, you didn't have an original red box. Because all the TSR shit used to come out in the size of a half sheet of paper. It was folded in half, stapled in the middle.
Because they couldn't afford it. Like this thing cost $10 to make. When they sent it to you, nobody was paying $10 in 76 or 77 when this stuff was coming out. It was super expensive. That was expensive.
Like I have an original set of Tractics 2 in this shop right fucking now. Isn't it a box? It's the size of a half sheet of paper because they literally printed it all out, folded that shit in half,
and put it in a box
and stapled it and put it in a box. And that's how original D&D came.
Really?
Like
That's
they were
crazy.
these tiny little books.
Right there,
right behind you.
Yep.
I've actually got some examples of it.
Yep.
He can hold that up.
Yep, I can. Don't drop it.
See that one in the upper corner?
Yeah.
So show the camera. So that one in the upper left-hand corner, that is original D&D and original chainmail from TSR. Yep. That's how big the books were. That bigger book is AD&D. It's what's also known as 2E. That's second edition. Which is how I came into D&D. It's the old school stuff. But and it wasn't supposed to be a hit.
No.
It was supposed to pay for, because he wanted to keep writing military games.
It was a passion project for this guy. Because they had I mean, we were probably going to get into this in a different format and kind of talk about the history, but like they would run like what he does. And all these guys would come and they would descend upon his little town there in Wisconsin. And they would have their like weekend of playing their war games and stuff. And then some guys would, and the miniatures got a little bit more important and a little bit more popular, especially as the game kind of, the different games or what, but like Avalon Hill used to be the big name in wargaming. They had the books and they had the big boxes and you could go and you can buy all
so
stuff.
If you talk to like our dad's generation, and they talk about war games and stuff like that. So my dad, I know about Tractics 2 and learned this history because my dad played Tractics 2 when he was in high school. And back then, everything was published by Avalon Hill.
Really?
So
you get a little cardboard,
and so all these little hex tokens, at any rate.
Yeah.
Extremely complicated.
It was never this kid's game. It was always designed for adults.
So it's
and so you have these people greenlighting this shit that's like, oh, that's for kids. And it's like, go find your average play group. I'm telling you right now, I know Stranger Things has liked to inform the public that it's 7th graders that are playing D&D.
Yeah.
I'm in a D&D group. Do you know what the median age in my D&D group is? It's about 36. That's about the median age in my D&D group. Do you know why it's 36?
No, please inform.
Gaming hobbies are fucking expensive.
Yes, they're not
just like
cheap.
Everything else. It's now
if you want a hobby that is going to eat up that level of time, give me one hobby that eats up any real level of time in any of our lives that is inexpensive.
No, there isn't.
You ever been to a comic book shop lately? The average comic book is between $5 and $10. I almost died.
Do you know how much a D&D book is?
Yeah, well,
a current D&D book.
I don't know, whatever I paid.
$49.95.
Yeah, $50.
$50.
$50 for a book.
They were like $24.99, I think, second edition, some of that stuff back in like the late 80s. Yeah.
It's $50 to buy the goddamn book. A cheap set of dice these days is $17.
Yeah.
To get a set of dice.
Yeah.
And by the way, one book doesn't get you playing.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't get you playing. I can see our campaign book sitting over there, and that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 7 over there.
Now, what's helped? What's helped?
$350 in books.
Well, what's helped the game, the tabletop game, is video games, because you got a lot. You got to be Drist Award, and you got to be some of these guys, and then those people started bouncing back between.
Skyrim's D&D.
It is.
Yeah,
and you got to now start to bounce.
Game of Thrones is D&D.
Yeah.
I don't understand how we can make something that dark,
and that violent,
that sexual, that adult, that is quite literally dragons.
Yeah,
and a bunch of motherfuckers fighting on a battlefield. Yeah. Or, I don't know, raiding the bottom of a castle that's been locked off from everybody else because that's where they keep prisoners and the unwanted, or otherwise known as a fucking dungeon. Why we can make 8 years of multi-billion-dollar shows with that level of darkness and adult mentality, but then as soon as you actually just say what's in that fucking show, it goes like, oh, it's got to be for 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
I don't.
If the word Dungeons and Dragons comes in, it immediately lowers the
IQ
watch class.
IQ
The
and
watch
age,
age by about 20 years.
Dude, no, I don't. Yeah, that's exactly, and that's what my concern is. I mean, with the movie, it's goofy as shit. The movies that came before it are goofy as shit.
Right.
Whereas everybody else, Halo, this TV series, I thought it was age appropriate. Like it wasn't light, it wasn't dark. I mean, but that had that video game. People had certain expectations based on the fact that it was a video game. So I think you could do those things. Oh, we'll fucking murder people. You can do those kind of things. And they did. They shot people and stuff like that. But I'm worried, like the TV show, like
doesn't feel good.
No,
doesn't give you the warm fuzzies.
And you would hope after Game of Thrones that you could do that stuff. Like
also not even Game of Thrones. The next Game of Thrones is starting to do just as well as the first.
It's dark as shit too.
Yeah, that's dark.
Why can't we have this stuff? So anyway,
this is why we can't have nice things, people.
So that kind of segues into something that so talk on the sort of the business end of things. What Wizards is doing and. Like
what's Wizards?
So Wizards of the Coast. So TSR went from TSR, then they were purchased by Wizards of the Coast, and they had a bunch of IPs. So now they Magic and all that stuff.
So Wizards is like the company that owns D&D.
They are. Yes, they are now.
Sort of.
Yeah, TSR is gone.
Sort of. So Wizards of the Coast is the brand that they like to put on the back.
Yeah,
that's a weird
of
name.
D&D books.
Yeah.
So Wizards of the Coast started making a game called Magic the Gathering.
Right.
Which is a card game.
Of course. Yeah, everyone knows Magic the Gathering.
Right. So, and then there was a merger that happened, and they took over when TSR went under.
Okay.
They took over D&D, and they were okay. Everything was doing fine. Everything was rocking and rolling. The game was awesome. Both the games were awesome. Yep. It was great. Two of the biggest systems that were out there. WotC had all the money.
Mm-hmm.
And then this toy company came along with all the money in the fucking world. And the people that run WotC like money.
Well, everyone likes money.
Yeah.
Right. So what came along and WotC, Wizards of the Coast, WotC, somebody came along and showed them this really, really shiny number. It was like, we would like to buy you. And WotC at the time was a privately held company, which meant we would like to buy you isn't good for the shareholders. It's just good for the people that currently own WotC.
Yeah. The handful of people. Yeah.
So that company was called Hasbro.
G.I. Joe.
Yeah, the toy company. And they make, children's games and shit like that. And they were like, you guys do games. We do games and toys. We're pretty much the same fucking thing. Except for we market to 7-year-olds.
Right.
And you guys market to people with incomes.
Okay.
So you should let us buy you. And WotC was like, fuck, that's a lot of zeros.
Yeah, and they did.
So they sold. And now what you have is...
As a business owner, I completely understand.
So now what you have is Hasbro that has taken what had two of the most well-known titles in gaming. And Hasbro has come in and done everything they possibly can to take a giant, flaming, steaming shit on the chest of both of those games.
Like, how long ago did Hasbro buy these things?
Like 3 years ago.
Oh, it's been recent.
Yeah. So
super recent. Oh, okay.
So the first,
Producer?
Yeah, can you confirm Hasbro's purchase?
Confirm or deny?
So the first throat that they looked at and was like, I have this really sharp knife, and what I would like to do is slowly drag it across your whole neck, was Magic the Gathering.
Right. Okay.
And boy, did they succeed. They were like, is this the most popular card game in the world?
Let's dilute.
Let's see
the
if
value
we couldn't
of things.
Take let's see if we couldn't take the Pokemon model of it's not really about playing, it's just about collecting. And do as much of that as we possibly
because we didn't get to watch the fucking comic industry completely crash doing the same exact thing.
Yeah, right.
So
we didn't have that luxury from 2010 to 2015. We didn't watch them do that. Let's do it ourselves, and that's exactly
because we didn't need 17 alternate covers of every comic ever and da 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 da.
That's what they did with the cards, I guess.
Which killed everything.
So they just
so
now it's all about collecting and having that pretty special piece.
So this is saying Hasbro bought it in 99.
Yep.
I don't know if that's accurate.
No,
but
that's
we'll go with it.
That's accurate.
But they've left it alone. If they bought it in 99, they left it alone forever until essentially the whole like Pokemon.
Well, they didn't do a lot
happened.
with it. They really kind of didn't do.
And
they just kind of limped along.
Man, just in the last year,
they really just kind of
probably
changing management or changing something.
I have people that were spending. I'm a store owner. We sell all these games, right? I had people that were spending $5,000 a month.
What?
On Magic the Gathering?
What? Yeah. I'm sorry. What did you just say?
Yeah, I'm not exaggerating.
That's rent. That's a mortgage.
$5,000 a month on Magic cards that are now in the process of selling their entire collection for half value because Magic the Gathering has burnt them out. Yeah. It's major releases every month. It's limited this, limited that, And the problem is, it comes down to Disney said it best when they made The Incredibles. When the villain goes, when everybody's super, no one will be. And that's what they've done. They've turned everything into a limited run. And when you turn everything limited, nothing's limited.
And it lowers the competitiveness. And
nothing's worth anything.
Nothing's worth anything.
Yeah. No,
because what you've done. So now they just try and do the next thing to make it limited.
And people get burnt out of that. I need to have. Eventually, you either fucking OD or you go cold turkey. Well, people are doing the cold turkey.
They're doing the cold turkey thing because it's just at the end of the day, they're going, it's fucking cardboard. Fuck you. My cards still play whether I buy new shit or not. It still works.
And all the
so they just stop.
The tournaments and stuff honor all that stuff. They let you continue to do whatever. So that part of the game hasn't changed. So people just do what they do instead of buying new shit.
So like right now, I got a message from them today. And WotC, I fucking hope you see this. I got a message from WotC today asking about whether or not I want to continue on my path to premium as a WPN store. So I'm a Wizards Play Network store. And I will maintain my WPN status, which means that I can do organized play. I get a guaranteed allocation of new releases for Magic.
Okay.
Whether I want to continue my path to premium. Problem is now, all that path to premium, becoming a premium store, all that it actually does for me as a store is it gives me permission to spend more money with their company. It doesn't actually provide any fucking support at all, including the restrictions of like, hey, you as a store, you can't sell to third-party vendors. Amazon, Amazon.com, Walmart.com, any of these big websites that do aggregate providers in order to sell the product directly. Right. I can't sell on any of that. Do you know why?
I think you're going to tell me.
Wizards of the Coast provides all that product directly to those third-party vendors, and they don't want their stores competing with them on those vendors. Now, what does Wizards of the Coast do when they provide directly to those online vendors? Sell it for cheaper than I could possibly fucking afford to sell it for.
They undercut you.
So why would I pay you for the right to not be able to compete in your own fucking pricing model because you're undercutting me on every fucking channel?
It really reminds me of like my dad used to have a saying, like when I was like 21, I was just starting out to drink and everything. And me and my dad were going out drinking, and we went to this bar, and they were like, yeah, it's $10 cover. And he was like, you guys got a band? He's like, no. He was like, we're good. And I was like, well, it was just $10, whatever. And he was just like, I'm not going to pay someone for the privilege of drinking at their fucking bar.
Yeah.
And that's what it sounds like they're trying to do. Like pay you for the privilege.
And that's what they want. So it's like really premium. Now you can get more product, and you can get more of this, and you can do this, that, and the other. But then they took away everything. So like as a WPN store, we used to have this thing. We had a whole week where we could sell it before anybody else. Well, they've gotten rid of that. There's no more pre-release bonus. Like everything can just be sold by everybody that got it the week before release date. And I'm like, so you don't have a release date. You've just moved your release date back a week.
Yeah.
Like that's
so they're doing
special.
that. So they're doing that, but
they're doing all that,
what the other thing that they're doing.
But now they're doing it with D&D. Okay. So Dungeons and Dragons, they have essentially looked at it and gone like, how much blood can we squeeze from this turnip? So there is a thing called the OGL, which is the open game license.
Okay.
So the OGL originated with this thing called the OGL 3.5. So D&D as we know it exists in what is called D&D 5e. So 5th edition. It's the 5th iteration.
Okay.
Now 5th edition has now been around for damn near 20 years. Like 5th edition's been around forever.
Okay.
So they're now transitioning to what they're calling it D&D 1, like ONE. And it's supposed to be this super bridge of like tabletop play and digital play and VR play and blah, 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 blah. But it
sounds like a bunch of buzzwords.
It's horseshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they used to do this thing called the OGL. What the OGL allowed was the core mechanic of the game, the shit that makes it work. You could take that and you could make your own shit. So like a new adventure module or maybe a modified version of the game.
A bunch of these companies that are out there now that make this stuff, charts and adventures and modules.
Or
that
like
you can use in your D&D campaign.
Like I have one on my shelf right now called Anime 5e. So if you're really into anime and you like that stuff, you could use the D&D thing, the D&D rules, the function of D&D.
So that's
but it's in that
connection
flavor.
There's those that kind of use just the mechanics. Then there's people whose whole businesses are wrapped around you playing Dungeons and Dragons, but hey, I wrote a module.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got sharks.
This adventure.
We've got a monster manual that's a whole bunch of monsters that aren't in the D&D monsters
they don't support, awesome. But might be popular.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Well, Hasbro
sounds like great for the community.
Hasbro runs WotC. Now, I went to art school. All this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna come at this discussion from two very different sides, right? So I view it from a business perspective. I look at it and go, there's no fucking way WotC has the man hours to produce the level of play content that is being done by third-party applications.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
There's no fucking way. There's no way. There's no way you have the man hours to write the support material that is out there to drive your game. Now, I've got a module that was written by Big Jim's game company.
Yep.
He wrote an adventure.
It's fucking great. It's a lot of
great company. And it functions on D&D 5e. Yeah. Right? So it's you want to know how to make a character, you want to know what your character can do, what classes you've got or whatever, go look at the fucking core rule book. We're just the adventure.
Yep.
We just provide the adventure. You still need to provide the people. Right? Cool. But there's 1,000 Big Jim's adventure companies.
There's a ton.
All writing that fucking content.
Because you just need a website. You don't even need like hard.
No, okay, a lot of
them.
reading.
It's like you download a PDF and you subscribe to them.
Or it's
subscription things.
It's a one shot. It's 4 pages long. It's just got enough stuff for this whatever
stuff that
I still need all the rule
jumping
books.
Off point. Yeah.
Now here's the deal. Yeah. You get somebody that likes that adventure, and they go like, "Man, this is fucking awesome. I want to play D&D." And it's like, well, we're gonna play this big long campaign. But you're going to need a core rule book and a player's handbook, and you're going to need
D&D.
You're going to need this and da 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 da. So then they come into their FLGS, like me, friendly local game store, and they buy those books from me because somebody bought that $4.99 fucking OGL.
It was a gateway.
Everybody wins.
Everybody wins. Nobody lost anything.
It seems like it's just
now that
for people coming in
because of a thing called the OGL, the Open Game License,
right?
Which is it was all over the internet too, with any of this like open source code that you could go.
Yeah, it feels like the same thing.
So very much the same thing. Well, Hasbro looked at it and was like, "All you motherfuckers out there making money off our shit,
right?"
So if you want to continue to use our OGL, our open game license, it's not so open.
Pay me my money.
You either owe us 25% of everything you make, or you have to pay me $75,000 to buy the license to the OGL.
25%?
Now, I'm going to tell you right now, at 25% or $75K, that is the opposite of fucking open, homie. Yeah. I can open a Panera Bread for less money than that.
So 25%. What are these guys? Because I think a lot of these companies, especially with the way they release their content, you get that they have they have full-time jobs.
Right.
And then they're like, so they're like,
it's
hey,
hobby work.
Those are all going to fucking disappear.
They're all gone.
Or they're going to do, how many fucking lawyers do you have? Because you're not going to be able to keep up with the fucking lawsuits that this is going to generate. Well, it is Hasbro, and they're fucking huge.
It gets better. Hasbro is now pursuing the option to be able to retroactively retract the OGL.
So they can
So
can
the
sue you off shit that
OGL
you already
is
did?
the OGL started at 3.5. There is an entire game company for one of the best game systems I've ever played called Pathfinder, which runs on OGL
I've heard of that,
3.5.
yeah.
So 3.5 was arguably the best version of D&D ever made. So, and then they went to 4E. Everybody fucking hated it. It only lasted like 3 years. It's what birthed Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Pathfinder came along because 4E sucked. It was awful. D&D 4E was terrible. It spawned an entire fucking game system called Pathfinder, run by this company called Paizo. And on the back of their books, if you flip it over, it says OGL 3.5. Open game license 3.5. Open.
Yeah.
Open game license 3.5.
So talk about the
And they were
retroactive
left
thing.
alone for like 20 fucking years.
Now. Yeah.
Wow.
Now they are pursuing the ability to retroactively retract the open game license,
with
which
vengeance,
means
yeah.
that if somehow they were able to get that through, Paizo would owe them 25% of all revenue produced in the last 20 years,
Jesus.
which would shut the company down.
Right.
They're not going
Immediately.
to survive.
Immediately.
No game company really makes that much money.
No.
25% of your margin is your margin.
By the way, their
Yeah,
agreement
yeah,
is
yeah.
not 25% of profit earned. It's 25% of revenue generated.
Oh, so yeah, they
So
just
you're fucked.
they just want your money.
It's
They want
Hasbro.
every bit of your
They
money.
just want
everybody and now
every
everybody's
single
having
dollar.
ours,
margin.
like,
That is
so
your margin.
I kid
We're
you
in
not.
business. That's your
So
margin.
we're-
as
gonna
a
see.
game store, since it has been announced about the OGL and the closing of the OGL, because
Yeah.
let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
This is not a modification of the OGL. You're closing it.
Closing it and
you
starting
no
another
longer have an
thing.
open game
You're selling
license.
another
There is
license.
there is they made a number that they knew no one could hit.
You don't have an open game license
Yeah.
anymore.
No one can do that.
Nobody
They
can
don't want
afford you.
Yeah,
Nobody's
they-
gonna deal with
they
it.
basically somebody at Hasbro
In
looked
the
at
last
the open game
48
license.
hours as a game store that as just a Google, you can Google me,
Yeah.
you can find me as a game store.
Yeah.
The number of emails I have received from every tiny little RPG company out there that doesn't operate on the OGL. They have their own system, they have their own unique IP and stuff like
We're
that.
not OGL. We're not
The
OGL.
number of emails that I have gotten going like, hey, we make this fucking game that has absolutely nothing to do with the OGL is phenomenal. And you know what? I'm fucking here for it.
Sure.
I hope to God,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna say this to every person listening to the show that currently plays D&D. If there is another system out there that even sort of kind of interests you,
Yeah.
that isn't owned by fucking Hasbro,
Use it.
fucking use it.
Well, I mean, like that's a
Use
great
it.
thing.
Stop buying their
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Well, and
Stop
they
using their
did
system.
stupid
Stop
shit,
buying their
Absolutely.
shit.
Absolutely.
You know, like if
Rampant
if they
capitalism needs to be checked.
if they mention a fucking kind of class, you got third party people who do all this research and build out these fucking phenomenal classes. Then you have ready made. I want to be this guy. I have a fucking chart with levels, and I will be this kind of guy. And
Yeah.
they've got it all figured out for you. All you got to do is buy my fucking PDF for fucking $10. Although most of the stuff's like 10 or 15 bucks.
Yeah. Right.
It was super inexpensive. They've done all the work for you. You know, I had to make one of my guys in the campaign I was running like a werewolf. There was one that the guy had it all written out, way better than what Wizards had. They only touched on it a little bit.
Yeah.
In the monster manual, this was like how to play a fucking werewolf, and he'd done all the work, and it all seamlessly fit with the game.
This makes a lot of sense because I was a part of like a D&D group for like a day, and I made a guy, and then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be this character, and there's like a character builder
Yeah.
online. I built him and everything,
Yeah.
followed the rules and everything, and they were like, well, that's not a real Dungeons and Dragon thing, and I was like, I don't know. It's like, oh, that's OGL,
Yeah.
and I was like, I don't know what the fuck
Yeah,
you
there
guys
was,
are talking
and
about.
then they went about buying some of those like websites and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't think D&D Beyond was originally.
Yeah, it was on D&D
Beyond.
Beyond. It was on D&D
It wasn't. They bought them now.
So D&D Beyond was a third party company.
Yep.
that you can create
not
characters
owned
on.
by
Yeah.
It
Wizards.
was great.
Now they had an agreement with D&D to where every new D&D content that came out immediately got fed to that,
Mhm.
and it works and all that kind of stuff. They did not like they didn't have control over it. They bought it. They just
Yeah.
bought it outright.
Bought it,
Now they
yeah.
have control, And now they're trying to make it, they are trying to monetize their entire player base.
Yeah.
So now for you to get the updated rules, whether you have the rule book or not, they're trying to make it to where essentially if you're not paying for a D&D Beyond subscription, you can't play the fucking game.
Yeah.
They are trying to get it. So it's the same thing as like a WoW model, like a World of Warcraft model or any of these online games. They're trying to turn tabletop gaming into that same fucking
So when you get the update, if you don't do the update,
you're not going to get the most current
the game
rules.
doesn't
I
it
hate
doesn't
this
work.
shit so much.
So,
Like,
and we
my
talked
core.
about it on this when I was talking about when I got super excited that the Terminator books got here.
Yeah.
Now I've got the new books for Blade Runner. I've got the new books for
And
like
are those
other-
OGL?
They are not OGL. They do not run on the
Okay.
D&D system at all. They are a completely independent
go buy
fucking
Terminator.
system. Go look at these other fucking games. They're
Or
I am in a D&D campaign
Yeah.
right fucking now. I love my group. I do. Jim's in it.
Yeah.
I fucking love playing with you. I could list off a dozen fucking systems that I would rather use over D&D and keep our group alive, that we'd have more fun on a better fucking system in a more original world. And I just, God, I'm so fucking pissed off.
Well, here's the thing, man. There's two things. Because here's what they do with the TV shows, with everything. They fucking shit all over our childhood. And so Hasbro, I'm fucking talking to you with your fucking bullshit, and Disney, I'm talking to you too. Fuck you guys. Constantly fucking us over with changing the shit. Leave it alone. There's money to be made. How much more money do you guys, and I'm a fucking huge capitalist. I get it, dude. But really, how much more do you guys need to shit over? It was so easy. You had a couple of books, your buddies came over, you rolled some shit, you killed some stuff, and you moved the fuck out.
Yeah.
Now everything's got to be connected and this and that. It was the best thing when I was getting back into D&D, seeing all these third party, because you didn't have that because of the internet. There was no internet.
Yeah.
So you didn't have all these third party. Now you got guys sitting in their basement churning out stuff.
And it's fucking awesome.
And it's great. And that was the one thing with second edition.
But it's anything now. You get anywhere close to that name,
Yeah.
you're fucking paying. It's
Yeah.
not just the OGL.
Yeah.
You're getting
They just
anywhere near
constantly do this
anywhere
shit.
near that ampersand, the little their AM symbol that looks like a dragon.
Yeah.
Anywhere near the name, any whatever, it's all the same. Everybody's paying the same fucking price.
Yeah.
That's
So
it's just-
what's the upshot? Because people are bitching. This is just a super recent thing. Are they going to fight it? Are they going to look at it and say, hey, this is stupid? This is going to hurt your business? Because everybody's doing what he's saying. Don't play.
Yeah.
Find something else.
Yeah, fuck you. Yeah, find something else. I've already
You
done
vote
it
with your dollar.
I've
You
already-
vote with your
I've
dollar.
already done it with Magic. So when they did it to Magic in here,
Yeah.
and what they've done, I've cut all of my allocations by half. Like I'm.
Yeah, you
No,
vote
because
with
people
your
are
dollars.
coming into the store looking for it, and then
I mean, I have people. We had a guy. We have guys dumping entire collections. I've had people literally just leave them at the store.
Yeah,
They've walked
that's
in.
what you said. You had a
They
couple
have
guys just-
rolled cardboard, the 5-row cardboard boxes of cards into my store and just been like, I'm fucking out, and just left it here. Didn't even want money for it. Just fucking walked
I don't know
away.
what to do with
Figure it
this,
out.
yeah.
Just
I
yeah.
mean, it's just like, and it's like, what are you people doing? Like, you bought this company? Is it just we don't want to manage it anymore? So we'll see if we can just.
Well, here's the
bleed it
thing.
out?
I've got
Like,
all my
no,
second
I-
edition books. We'll just play fucking second edition.
I want to
AD&D.
play Riffs.
I will play Riffs. That hasn't changed. We should do. It would be fun to play some of the other games.
Riffs is non-OGL. It runs on the DS system. It's like, you better bring everything because it's gonna make you roll your D17. I was like, well, I don't fucking have one of those. Like, figure it out, bitch. Like, it's like what.
It was. And it's,
roll a D10 and a D7 and figure it out.
But nobody was trying to make a buck. Now everybody has the opportunity to make a buck, and then they're trying to screw them, man. And they do this constantly.
And the thing is that Wizards was already a $1 billion company. And so now they're like, hey, we're going to tax you for opening the book.
Yeah.
And it's like,
do you not want us to
fuck you.
play?
And the problem is,
What
that,
is it?
like,
What is it you'd like me to do with the book? Because do you want me to not play? Because I can fucking do that.
Yeah.
We'll find something.
done.
Do you know the problem?
I'll go play Blade Runner.
There
I don't
is-
give a fuck. You
Yeah.
want to tell me that we're going to play Blade Runner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I
Like,
guarantee there is some fucking the board of Hasbro, the top CEO has no idea about this was a memo on something that he saw. He doesn't really kind of understand it that much. And there's some young flash in the pan exec that is like, I can make a little bit more money.
yeah.
And daddy's going to be happy.
Let's
for
turn
me.
tabletop gaming into a subscription format.
Yeah,
and then they
let's
were
do
like,
it.
So I'm going to bounce
then
from this
it's-
company to the next company as I
Yeah.
work my way up, and
It's
it's
a
got nothing to do with the
fucking-
games
Exactly,
or the
exactly.
anything.
and the
That's
big
what it
reason that
is.
we won't get behind it and we're not going to just roll with the punches and let it happen and see what happens is we have principles here as a game store. Like, we don't charge for our game tables here.
Nope.
Yeah. So I think it's insane, but you're a better man than I am.
We don't charge for the game tables. Why? I'm not going to tax you to play your game. You own a bar. Do you charge me to sit down?
If I could, I wouldn't.
Do you have a cover charge?
No, I do not have a cover charge. No.
That's what renting a game table to you is.
Yeah.
Renting a game table to you was a cover charge. That's a goddamn cover charge. Do you know what it's turned my players into? Loyal.
Yeah.
I want you here playing.
Yep.
That square footage is going to sit there, whether I charge you for that table or fucking
great.
And
not.
the other thing too is
Great
you're not
point.
going into Walmart and finding D&D books. It's either mom and pop or you get them online.
Yep.
And I like, so is it Warhammer who or the guy at Black Library, whoever gives you a break if you buy it, or they have only certain stuff that they release through mom and pops so they can support.
So actually, D&D was doing that.
Yeah, right. Okay,
the thing
so
is
it was-
now is we're concerned that whether or not that's going to continue.
It was
So,
great. That was a
there was-
great
I
idea.
doubt
So,
it will.
Yeah.
Brick
I
and
doubt
mortar
it.
stores got exclusives to certain covers
Yep.
and stuff like that you could not get anywhere else. They had to be had at a local mom and pop game store. You had to go
Price
to
might not be different, but
the price was identical.
But the
But
cooler
you gotta
shit.
get a cooler-
The cooler
and that's
exclusive
fucking
shit.
great.
And for
Awesome.
gamers, that's what we live
Yeah.
for. We live for I've got something you don't.
I can't even tell you how many times I've bought a book because I had a special cover
Yep.
Yeah.
and a little bit more
People
of
love
my
that
color
copy,
printing.
my
People are
copy
stupid.
of
We're stupid.
my copy of Dune.
Oh, look.
So I have a readable
colors.
I have a readable copy of Dune.
Uh-huh.
Like Frank Herbert's just Dune.
Uh-huh.
I have a readable copy, and then I have my hard copy that does not get read. Why do I have that hard copy that doesn't get read?
Huh.
It's a special edition, and when you pull it off the shelf, all of the edges of the pages are spice blue.
Oh, really?
Like that the color of the eyes.
Yeah.
That the
Is that at your house?
it's at my house.
I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna open it. I'm gonna read it
You can open it.
right in front of you.
That's fine.
Just
Do
go
you have the
flip through
encyclopedia?
pages.
I don't, and I want it so bad.
I'm gonna eat ribs
Couple
while I do
$100.
it.
I
I
had a
know.
chance to get it for
It's
125
gorgeous.
bucks on.
I'm gonna
on-
eat barbecue and read your Dune.
That thing, it's written on like if you've ever like like the Bible page
Yeah,
with
it's
that
vellum.
super thin.
Yeah,
thin
Really?
leaf.
the onions.
Oh,
So
yeah.
because it's
flavor.
so onion skin, because there's so much shit. Whoever the guy who wrote it, he wrote it with Frank Herbert's. I know we're getting down a fucking rabbit hole, but he wrote it with Frank Herbert's like blessing. There's like little shit he might have mentioned or almost like alluded to, and there'll be like a whole fucking page and a half that this guy just basically made
Wow.
up. But everything in that thing is fairly canon.
Mhm.
Like it goes into so. If people speculate about shit, go to the encyclopedia. You want to know what the Sardaukar are all about? He's got fucking pages of shit. It's fucking cool. But anyway,
Right.
Yeah. So the whole OGL license thing is really fucking interesting.
Jesus, capitalism run wild.
Well,
It's
But the
it's
thing is
capitalism
that-
to the point of destroying people's fucking.
It's destructive
But-
capitalism.
Yeah.
it is so,
so
overarching
self-destructive
that it's
because nobody's gonna buy
impacting
anything now.
everybody on TikTok that talks about D&D.
Yeah,
If you're making money on TikTok because you talk about D&D,
that's what I heard. Yeah,
you owe them license fees.
like if you do,
Really?
if you
all those huge online streamers that are using D&D to put on these entertainment shows because you're watching them
Yeah.
play their campaign.
or I've also
So
heard
it's gonna
like
you
take someone
owe
like
money.
fucking Joe Manganiello and those guys with some clout and Hollywood.
But see,
they're
I'm
gonna have to.
really
I
fucking
doubt that
curious.
they're gonna give a fuck.
So Joe Manganiello is working on this documentary,
Yeah, him
and
and
I'm
his brother,
really
yeah.
fucking curious with this coming out. What happens to this project?
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, that he's all tied up. So that was my other thing.
Now,
he's all tied
if
up
he's
with.
got- If he's
guys
already
from
if
Wizards.
he's already got the whole spectacles, testicles, wallet,
Yeah.
and watch from Wizards, they may be going like, no, go make us look good
yeah,
because we're doing a
it's for
great
the
job.
50th anniversary next year.
But we're doing a great job of fucking
Hmm.
ourselves. Could you please go make it to where it's
Yeah.
still interesting
I've
to get
also
involved in
I've
this
also
game?
think it was like for like independent artists who will like make like pictures of your character. Like we'll draw your picture
Yeah,
and then
all
they're-
of it.
They're getting
Yeah,
And now
Yeah.
look, I'm torn on this because I hate the fact that it's crushing all these small creators.
Mhm.
As somebody that went to like film school and created media and all that kind of stuff, I also get the whole like, you're owed fucking nothing. They invented this IP.
Yeah.
You being able to use their IP to make a living and you didn't invent it is fucked.
But
You should
it's-
have to pay for it.
it's so old
But
at this
they-
point, though.
But they went so fucking extreme.
Yeah,
That's the problem I have. So, like, are you guys familiar with the Unreal Engine?
yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so the Unreal Engine it's a video game creation engine.
Mhm.
So
I mean, the first
Yeah, yeah,
the
no, I
first
know what- I
game
know
was
what it
yeah,
is.
the
Yeah,
first
yeah,
game's
yeah,
Unreal,
so there's a game called Unreal.
Unreal. And that was,
But-
yeah,
The Unreal Engine, which is now at Unreal 5, is what the next gen console
Yeah.
games are being designed on.
Yeah.
It's a design software for making video games. Now, Their software is free. You can go
Mhm.
to Unity, you can download that fucking software. You don't pay them a fucking dime. And for the entire creation process of your video game, you can use every update,
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
that they do for their game.
Yeah.
You can build your trailers in it. You can do the whole 9 yards. You can market your company. You can do everything. All that they ask is that if you go to market, if you publish the game, once you are profitable, you owe them 5% of your profit.
That seems fair.
I have no issue with that approach.
Yeah.
Now, if D&D had come out, if Wizards had gone, hey, we're not going to retroactive this, but based on the new licensing stuff and everything going forward, if you're going to make new content using any of the new stuff, once you make money, not recouped, not whatever, once you make money, 5% of what you make, you owe to us. Because we did all the heavy lifting. And they did, right?
Yeah, sure.
They built the world, they do the marketing, they're the ones that generate all of the, it's D&D. You fucking know what it is. They do all of that. I get that. So if you're making D&D content and they're doing all the advertising for you, you got a free marketing platform. That's not necessarily fair. But making this so fucking aggressive that you're just going to crush everything
Everybody. Yeah.
makes you feel gross. Like that's just gross. Like I don't,
You're going to drive so many people out of this hobby that is so as much as the explosion of people playing it is still a fragile hobby because it's expensive.
Yeah.
And people can just be like,
yeah, but when
It's,
it's
it's fragile and it's time consuming.
But
and
well,
no one
look at
has-
Magic. Guys walking in and just dumping 1,000 cards and fucking it'll go.
Yeah,
They did the same thing to fucking paintball. I played paintball in the infancy of the sport, if you want to call it a fucking sport. And it came about in New Hampshire. So,
paintball's a sport, but video games aren't.
okay.
Anybody that's saying they're
yes.
playing esports, you can go fuck
And they
yourself.
did the same thing to fucking paintball. Paintball exploded and expanded, and then they had all these companies, and then it friggin' contracted and pretty much crashed, and now it's made a comeback. But there used to be a bunch of magazines, and it used to be on TV, and
Yep.
ESPN was carrying all that
Yeah.
stuff. All that shit crashed about 10 or 15 years ago, and now it's kind of coming back in
It's 'cause
a different form. And they found
Nobody
it,
can go
yeah.
good enough.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to over monetize fucking everything.
Everything was getting
Mhm.
monetized. There's so many companies.
And-
Everything comes, and you need
Like,
that
look,
contraction to make.
I'm a business owner.
But
You're a
come
business
on.
owner.
Yeah.
I don't do this for the warm and fuzzies. I do this to pay my fucking bills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm a capitalist, 100%.
Shit's expensive. Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can't do it without fucking morals.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can be scrupulous about this shit while you're at it.
You start to drive people out of what, and that's why I bring up paintball, because they started to drive people out of it. It became too expensive. It was already kind of expensive to play.
Yeah.
Now it became too expensive, and then now it's kind of coming back a little bit. But you can't do that. The comic books
Sons
at
of
$5 and
bitches.
$10.
Sons of
Fucking a pack of Magic cards. I don't know what the hell a fucking pack of Magic cards cost, but
Oh, it's insane right now.
yeah.
It's insane. I have the set that's coming out tomorrow. As of the recording of this show, the set that is coming out tomorrow, the draft boosters will be $13 a pack.
How many cards are in a pack?
15.
Wow.
15 pieces of cardboard.
And by
With
the way,
original art,
now,
but still.
it doesn't matter. Do you know why that's bullshit? It's a non-standard set. We'll give you that. It's a non-standard collector's set, right? Limited production. Because if it's limited, it's got to be worth more.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking cost Wizards of the Coast any fucking more
Yeah.
money to make that limited card than it does to make the one that's not.
Sure.
Right.
It doesn't cost them any fucking more to make this set. You're just charging more because you fucking can.
Yep.
And you have no fucking need for it. And you already raised the prices this year anyways. They raised all of their products by 10%.
That's insane.
So and then you want to know why your player base is down.
Yeah.
It's like, you did it. Wasn't me.
Yeah.
Wasn't me. But if you want to know why people are ditching fucking Magic cards and buying fucking Warhammer, it's because Warhammer in its 40-year history, you can run every model you have ever bought from Warhammer.
Yeah.
And still play the fucking
And
game.
still play the game.
I think as much as, I mean, I certainly don't have the biggest problems with Games Workshop that I do now with Wizards, especially for a long time.
Wizards
But-
is just gross now.
Yeah.
It feels
The
gross.
guys
It
who
does.
run that company,
Yeah.
like the guy, like at games, like they play it. They fucking
Yeah.
built it. They love it.
And it
It's
just
still those guys.
They have
And
a
you-
museum at
Yeah.
like where their
Yeah,
head.
they still
their
give a
head-
shit.
Wizards just feels gross now.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
doesn't feel
because it's fucking
it
Hasbro.
doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels fucking gross, and that's why like my group, my D&D group, like I'm telling you right now, when this campaign's over, I'm gonna lay like 7 different rule books out and be like,
we'll figure it out.
Pick one of these, and we're playing fucking anything but D&D.
I like it.
Same world, same stuff, same everything. It's just different.
I can
rules.
deliver the same shit. I can deliver you better rules in a better world.
Yeah.
It's just that,
and you only have to buy one fucking book, and that's fucking.
And we can modify.
That's frustrating.
We can modify the rest of the books to make up.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
So, but anyways.
So in conclusion, fuck Hasbro.
Yeah, no, 100%.
That might be the title of this.
Fucking fuck Hasbro.
It's just stop shitting on my childhood, man.
Yeah.
And this isn't just another way to do it.
Go fuck yourself.
And I swear to God, every time I get on like the entertainment news or websites and stuff, especially for the program or whatever, it's always something else, some little known show or something that they're like, we're just going to do a sequel or another one and be all over it.
They just don't know what the fuck they're doing anymore.
Yeah. Nobody does.
At any rate,
I'm depressed.
Second Pitch Beer Company.
Yeah.
Go find them on all the social medias and their website.
Are we gonna talk about quickly Port Mall?
Tell them all about it.
Yeah. You tell about it. It's your
I
thing.
gotta pee, so you fucking tell them all about it.
God damn it.
See, it's a
Beat me
fucking
to it.
beer.
It's a
Go
beer.
ahead, tell us about Port Mall.
Port Mall is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful event that Jazz is throwing here at BattlePub. It is a large worldwide event that happens, and it's basically chaos versus good versus evil, or unaligned versus aligned, and whoever has more points at the end actually wins the entire thing at the end of the.
And this is the last event.
Yeah, this is the last event of that. So we're going to be doing it here at Games Workshop. It's going to be on the 25th January or 21st. January 21st.
BattlePub Games, San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah, in San Antonio, Texas. And we're gonna I think Big Jim and Beer Jim are gonna play against each other.
We are.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna
play because I don't know
oh
what the
my
fuck I'm doing.
God, I'm in. I'm so in.
And we're gonna film it, and I'm gonna be cursing a lot.
And we're gonna curse a lot, and you're gonna be like, why do I have to roll this many? I don't understand why.
We'll play it on the war table that's in here in the studio, so that we can make sure that it's
that's gonna be great.
It's properly done. But yeah, Port Mall, it's even if you suck at games, or hey, we actually selling tickets.
I didn't talk about the beer part of it too.
Yeah, hit the beer part.
That's kind of
the beer part of it. Is this is going to be also a great beer festival. There's going to be a ton of local breweries.
Are we going to have
going to be there?
Will there be?
We will make sure you have something to drink.
You will have something to drink. So their second pitch is going to be there. Weathered Souls is going to be there. Free Tail is going to be there. I believe Long Tab is also going to be here. We've been working real hard to get a lot of these local, really great breweries.
Well, right now it's Second Pitch, Free Tail, Independence, Long Tab, Weathered Souls. I heard Texas Beer Co. might show up.
Yeah, I've heard that rumor as well.
So I mean, just that, and after me, we've been drinking
if any
for
of
the
you
last
people
3
are
hours,
listening to this,
that's 6
from those companies.
And I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
Yeah,
so
we will play games for T-shirts. So bring T-shirts.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Yeah, I'll totally play in swag.
Yeah.
Big Jim's gonna finally fucking throw down on a war game. We're gonna figure out what the fuck's going on.
The Space Wolves. I'm gonna bring my whole Space Wolf army.
But yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
3,000 points. 3,000 point game.
That's minimum.
Minimum 3,000.
The minimum is 3,000 points per side. I already had somebody that told me they were bringing.
Who shit am I gonna be borrowing to play?
What is he playing?
I don't know. We'll figure it out. But
so if you guys have an army that you want to donate to,
we had one guy that told me he's bringing somewhere around 10,000 points of Warlord Titans.
Fuck me.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit.
Okay, buddy. Enjoy yourself. Yeah. Buy yourself over there.
But it's going to be a good time. We are advertising it as a beer festival with a gaming problem.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good time. You can find out more over at either battlepub.com or at BattlePub Games on all your favorite social medias. Mm-hmm. There's more details on there. Tickets can be purchased through battlepub.com. And there's also just attendance tickets. So you buy the ticket, you still get a wristband, lets you into the beer garden, and you can just walk around and drink.
One of the coolest things, tell them about the empty beer glass thing.
Oh, Beer Hammer. The Beer Hammer rules. Yeah, so regardless of what system you're playing, empty beer cups count as terrain. So you could literally be being shot at, drain your cup and just set it in between and go like,
so getting hammered,
there's something in the way. So
no, that is you cannot see me now.
Yeah, we highly encourage drinking. Yeah. So You could absolutely John Cena your unit by being able to drain your drink and stick it in front of it.
So we've mentioned two guys from Massachusetts today, R.A. Salvatore and John Cena.
There you go.
That's fucking great.
There you go. He is. He's
Cena grew up like
unapologetically Boston.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, John Cena grew up like 2 towns over from me.
It's something that I did not know I needed to care about.
Yeah, it's important.
Information to hold on to right there.
I like John Cena. He's fucking great.
Yeah,
it's great.
So in the meantime, go find everything. Keep leaving your fucking comments. As you can see, we will answer your questions.
Yeah, we do care.
We need attention so bad. We read all the comments.
But we all know, Russ was right.
Yeah, whatever.
Fuck this.
See you later, kids.
Last fucking episode. I swear to God.